Our space, my space, our space, OneSpace love, my space, your space.
Funny, last year I shut down all my jobs. I retired from all my teaching work that was going really well. I actually left my marriage, which, had its comforts and things that were working. And I moved out of my communities and I pretty much moved into isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Just before Christmas, I didn't know anything about coronavirus. And I was just really determined that I needed to put time into developing myself spiritually, physically, mentally, and musically. I just really needed time to develop and work on my craft and work on my body. And all of a sudden, my busy touring schedule just stopped and I'm at home, and it took me a few days to get over the shock of it, and then I've just been productive. I've been doing all those things I've already been talking about.
It's an awakening that's going on at the moment of giving out the information so that people can get in contact with themselves, so that people can be a part of this community that's awakening, because it's been hidden for so long. It's been something that's been taken away from societies and cultures and explained as something that you need to go to certain people for, or be part of a certain group, or be part of a certain knowledge mindset. But it's not about that anymore. That's all breaking down, and people are being able to be aware of the information that's within themselves and that they can access at any point. And it just takes time and practice, but it's available to everyone, really.
I was always thinking sports was going to be my sporting was going to be my path. Yeah, so because I used to play basketball professionally, and but then I did a really bad injury, way back, basically that started the process of music being the path. And once I got a taste for music, it was just that was it. I was pretty much. Like I'd been playing music, but I hadn't really dove into the music industry. And once I got into the music industry and just loved playing shows and loved writing music and just loved touring, it all just started making sense to me. So I guess that's when the awareness definitely arose.
It's been a very crazy time, as I'm sure everyone can imagine. There's going to be a lot of people that do need help, and it's not just, obviously right now, but in months to come, when sort of any money that people have starts to dry up, or other things that come into play, and including illnesses. So you can jump on our website, which is supportact.org.au, and we have on our front page there's a COVID-19 emergency appeal, and if they just click on that takes to a My Cause platform, which is our fundraising platform for that appeal, so they can donate through there.
All that we lost wasn't, nothing. And so it led me to my path, actually, but it didn't lighten my path.
It very much gave you that driving force towards your path, and like the fire within you kept you going.
Yes, definitely. It's a fire that did tire me out very early on, I feel, but I'm really grateful for a lot of the things that now I can see that that have made me the artist that I am and the person that I am. But there were times there in my 20s that, boy, would I have done anything for a different story,
My parents and I lived away from the university, and there was a studio there that was 24-hour access, like top of the line studio, and I was there every waking hour. Like I just, it'd be like 1 a.m, and I'd just go, I'm going to the studio. So I'd go into the studio, do a few hours recording myself and just kind of practicing, and then I'd go home, have a few hours sleep, and then go back to the studio for lectures. I just really loved it, and that was really big time.
I enjoy reading, I enjoy writing, I enjoy doing, have a really fulfilled life in that sense, I think. And being a musician's been really great for that too, because I can create the time to do all those things while still doing the job I love. It's a good life.
Discovering that alignment is a personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And this moment of crisis, it's made it very difficult for people to seek external help in regards to maintaining and managing that relationship, and that alignment. But it's also at the same time, this period of time has afforded many people the opportunity to remember that connection that they have.
And that's what my live show's always been built on. And that's been a facet of my, I think the strength of my live show that people used to comment on or have commented on is the interaction with the audience and the warmth in the room. But I feel like there's more with this, because I can't have somebody in the back corner, especially if they're shy, tell me anything at a gig. I just have the few people who dance up the front.
Yes.
And that's and which I love, but I always thought about that as myself as a performer, because I'm not a dancer myself. And I'm like always trying to get people to dance, but like I don't go to gigs to dance myself. I go there to appreciate the music. And so I love people dancing at my gigs and I've realized because that's them participating in the music. So the participation is different at a live stream. They're just typing it. But then they dance. And that's the other thing. If they feel like talking to each other while you're doing your thing, they do. And it doesn't disrupt you. It's not rude to you if they're talking and they're they're on the other side of the world. So there's all these other advantages. And I feel like live music has actually been up against Netflix and Xbox and Spotify. All this time, and warmth and comfort and also financial constraints of getting babysitters and whatever. So if you do a live stream gig, suddenly the playing field between you and Netflix and Xbox is equal. And I'm really excited for that reason with it.
Feeling wonky, plonky, weirdly quite strange, shaky, wobbly, engaged. My body is feeling so deeply this day. The pain and the fear that keeps us away from each other right now, as our world twists and turns, bringing in the new. But the pain, it returns. How it hurts. Without it, we cannot move forward and change. But change we must have to bring in the new. Just remain in your heart space, and you too will renew.
Anyone that's in a position of leadership, regardless of what it is, like empathy is the core component of that, because the idea of leadership in a separatist kind of way of just going, I am the leader, you are the followers, like I don't think that is how society is necessarily meant to work. And a person that is in a theoretical position of leadership, or hopefully just everyone, like I think it's such a valuable skill as a human, that ability to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes for a little bit and let that allow you to guide your own decisions, even if it's potentially mildly detrimental to you, the decision that you're making, but the broader good is serviced as part of that sort of thing. So
opening for Sade, dream come true for any of us. Dream come true for me, absolutely. And then you look at what did you do to draw that in to yourself and to put yourself in that place. And and even in, I guess, a sort of retrospective way, you'd be like, man, what was I doing right? Because it was not a calculated thing, but all these things happened and, and such and such and such.
We got to do a meet and greet with him. And I thought, this is it. I'm meeting the Dalai Lama. Maybe he can slip me the answer. And he looks at me and, like pretty much every second person in India, looks at my hair and just goes, nice hairstyle. It starts cracking up. And that was amazing, like to see like one of the more, like the ultimate spiritual figure, right? Just cracking up. like from my Jufro, really still to this day really reminds me of the real masters. They take it lightly. They're not serious.
Yeah.
You know, they joke around like Yoda. They're just funny.
I love that. I love when I write them. I don't know where I'm going to go with it. I don't know the spirit of the deck until I'm in it and writing it. And it has its own personality. Every one of those decks, or even my books, or a CD, everything, it has its own kind of way, and I'm just figuring it out. It's like it exists and I'm trying to solve the puzzle and bring it through. It's not something that I think of in advance and say, oh, okay, I'm going to write this. I'm really kind of experiencing it as the writing is taking place, and usually quite blown away by what comes through, because I don't credit myself for that at all. It comes from this other creative intelligence, and I really enjoy it. I kind of enjoy not knowing and just sitting down and going with the process.
Do it consciously, knowing that this is, you know, we have the opportunity to really get to know ourselves.
Yeah.
And once we really get to know ourselves, then we can really get to know where we live and who we're existing with.
Our neighbours, our community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is how we heal the world. We can only heal the world by healing ourselves.
For me personally, it was the understanding and empathy I now feel with people, and my capacity to listen and hold space. I'm so happy I can be one of those people now. I always have time for people, especially if they're going through something, and I don't belittle anything. And I realize that I can't know what's going on in someone else's head. And I think that's probably the biggest lesson I got out of it, is like, you just don't know what's happening in someone's mind. And if someone's going through a hard time, to be there for them.
And on top of that, if music transports the energy of Kundalini even stronger than talking about it, imagine what I realized my mission could be as a singer. And then I almost understood why everything didn't happen before. There was a higher purpose behind everything.
Amen. Yeah, that is beautiful. There is an internal fire in all of us that is way more powerful than we give ourselves credit for, you know? And I think sometimes we can get distracted by what everyone else thinks or what everyone else says or what we think we should be doing or who we think we should be for people. But that really touching back in with who you are, and that inner knowing is, you know, that gut instincts, you know, knowing, whatever you want to call it, like it's that, for me, it's like this fire inside, and I guide myself as in, like, what's the next thing to do or the next thing to do on what feels right there, and every time I ignore that, it's always a disaster.
I was lucky enough to go to Blues Fest when I was about 14 or 15, and standing in the crowd and just listening to Ben Harper play slide guitar to like 10,000 people, and the energy in that tent. He was just doing a solo song on Weisenborn slide guitar, and I just remember leaving the festival and just like one of those moments in your life where it's just completely life altering, takes you on that next little stream. And I went home and said to my dad, you know, can I get one of these slide guitars? And we ended up just turning a normal guitar into a slide guitar, basically. That was kind of a quick, easy way for me to get started, and that's really where the journey kind of began for me.
I love this saying, forgiveness is not an emotion, forgiveness is a choice. You know, it's like okay, we can go there any moment consciously, and then some emotions might linger, but like it's a willingness to move forward, not stay in there in the past.
Staying the victim.
It works.
Yeah. And also just returning to, again, that understanding that in the discomfort or in the if there's a place of discomfort or of hiding, it's actually an opportunity of deep growth, of another level of deep bonding and deep understanding and deep weaving, you know. So
a lot of the work that I actually do with people is also around values, and I think this is
It's a good point that you make, because it's all this situation is forcing people to actually look at what's really important. What are my values here? And so on my website, I have a values exercise that people can actually access on my website, and go through and look at values in different areas of life. And the more aligned you are with your values, the more life tends to flow. When you're doing life which is not aligned with your values, you're having to suppress who you are, which then creates imbalances and symptoms.
It's still an ongoing journey. That give yourself permission. It's so interesting you say that, but I don't know if you know, but I have a new song, like one of the next songs I put out. It's called Gifts. And the chorus goes...
yeah, tell me. I know that you sing a song. Yeah, please.
This is the chorus.
Yeah, go ahead.
It goes...
I do have psychic abilities, but there we go.
You do?
I do.
Use the gifts you've been given. Give yourself permission to be all of who you are. Come, life is waiting for you. Do what you came to do and be all of who you are.
It's kind of a new awareness that's happened for me this year. Really, everything's kind of fallen into place about who and why I am and we are, and just things just 10 times better, more. It's beautiful.
Do what your heart wants. Finding yourself. It's finding you. It's the first little bit of finding Joe. It's like, as soon we're all golden. We're all born golden, and we just and we start throwing layers of mud on us, and they get thrown on top of us, and we start laying with ourselves. But one day something happens. There's a drama or some sort of trauma that happens. And one of these pieces of mud just breaks off, and you look in there and there's gold. So you start digging for more, and you can't stop until you're completely golden again.
Love and self-expression are one, that we are made of love, and that when we speak, it's all love, all of it. Let's not be afraid of the volcanoes, the earthquakes, as much as we love those gentle streams and pastures and the beauty. We also love about Mother Earth is her ability to churn it up, and transform.
I feel like once I have a solid topic to talk about, or even like an experience that has been interesting or usually quite like melancholy and sadder songs are easier to write for me, and I'm sure it is for a lot of people I've heard, but usually it's from a place of like maybe there's a bit of anxious energy and sadness, but I just direct that into writing or music, and that kind of really can help me understand those feelings most of the time.
We have the ability to witness ourselves, not always, because when a big wave hits us, often that witnessing ability goes to sleep and we're just desperate. But if you can cultivate the ability to watch yourself, and that's why people meditate, to be able to cultivate the muscle that can watch the melodrama. So if you can cultivate the muscle of just spending a little time every day, or anytime you're getting in a pickle, noticing your thoughts, noticing your negative self-talk, noticing your negative, addictive, pessimistic, whatever thoughts, and watch it through loving eyes. That's the trick. Like Ramdas says, Ramdas distilled his whole life's work down to the 4 words: I am loving awareness.
We're going to go out with some OneSpaceLove music after this. So thanks, Ren. Do you want to introduce the track?
So the track is called OneSpaceLove, put together by Nikki Bomber and Ren Stone down at the Freeburg studio just a couple of weeks ago.
My space, your space, your space, my space, our space, OneSpaceLove. My space, your space, space. My space, your space. Your space, my space. Our space. OneSpace love. My space, your space. Your space, my space. Our space. OneSpace love. OneSpace love. OneSpace love.